So hopefully everyone can hear me okay, and everyone can see the screen okay. And if everybody's ready, what I'll do is walk through the first bits of the slides on ChangeBASE. And one of the things with the Citrix GTM solution, of course, is refresh rate for other screens. So if I'm going too fast, please either raise your hands or put a quick note in the chat box. If the refresh rate is not good for you, and we'll either slow down or slow down the demo. So hopefully everyone can see the next screen okay, which is really just a little bit of an agenda on how and what we're going to cover today. So first things, a little bit about the ChangeBASE of the company, how we can help, how we fit into the migration process, which is really a question about what we do and how we do things. We're going to actually give some detail on our experiences with previous clients and the migration phases for Windows 7 deployments, 64-bit, AppV, Office, and IE. We'll wrap all that up with a summary, then walk through a software demo. So a little bit about ChangeBASE. We're now 4 years old as an organization based in London, right here in the city. It's always, as a company, been designed to create a software solutions. We're not a services company. The real focus for ChangeBASE is that we're an IP-driven technology solution. We're here to solve our customers' problems, not just to provide reports, but we're here to actually fix the issues. That's the key bit about ChangeBASE. Yes, bulk loading. Yes, great reporting, but most important, automated fixing and conversion of your application packages. And as a result of that, our focus as an organization is to primarily reduce the cost of migrations, reduce the skills, simplify the process, speed up your migration deployments, and overall, with all those benefits, add on, improve quality, and consistent results, good outcomes over the entire application portfolio, be it packaging, sequencing, resolving those compatibility issues, or getting those applications to the right format. The whole idea is we're going to do this in bulk, great reports, automated fixing, automated conversion. And with all that, that's really what drives the costs, simplifies the processes, and reduces the risk. That's the key for this organization. And we've been doing that pretty well these last few years. We've got clients right across the world, in North America, Asia. Of course, the outsourcers love the technology in India and in Asia Pacific. But most importantly, we've had the privilege of having clients in the Fortune 100 or 1,000, and across the public, private sectors, right across Europe, Asia, the States, of course, North America, and of course, right here in the UK. And just following on that with a little bit more detail, this is some examples, great examples of some of the people we get to work with. Some of the organizations that have worked with ChangeBASE, we've helped them identify the compatibility, suitability, quality issues for their application packages. And we'll also help them automate the remediation process and massively reduce the time, effort, and cost for their Windows 7 AppV or Office migrations. So quite a few great names here, but just give you a bit more detail. We can actually drive through some of the ideas and really what we're trying to do here. And that is, as I mentioned before, definitely reduce migration costs. So we're going to dramatically reduce the time. Some examples, some clients have gone from 6 months of manual testing to a few days. We can do 1,000 applications in a day. So for some clients, that's 96% reduction. And that's you heard it right, 96% reduction in application testing time. Of course, not every organization has a pool of experts on hand, so we can allocate the right people for the right jobs. You don't have to retrain or reallocate people from your existing jobs in the IT department. And of course, there's any development to be done, we can help with that. So the whole idea of getting that migration done quicker, higher quality, with less IT resources is exactly what we're driving for. And that follows through and reduces the risk to the migration through better reporting, better auditing, a broader and deeper analysis of the compatibility, suitability, and quality issues with consistent high-quality outcomes for packages, resulting in a simplified process. That's one easier to repeat and get you ready for the next migration. Just talking about some of those processes, we really got to dig down a little bit and really talk about ChangeBASE as a trusted provider. We've been doing this for a while, with hundreds of thousands of applications into AOK, fixing tens of thousands of apps that have gone right into the UAT, right into deployment. And of course, we're not just talking about any organizations, we're talking about some of the most risk-averse and most conservative organizations with tremendous or very large-scale application portfolios that needed a comprehensive solution for both identifying issues and automatically remediating or resolving those issues. As you follow from that huge database or IP-driven technology solution, one of the things we've been able to do is simplify that through a red, amber, green approach. It gives you both a detailed information, but also a high-level overview, a very powerful review of your entire application estates. Of course, now we can, with that, knowledge base on what identifying issues, but also a knowledge base on resolving those issues. And most important, the piece that underpins all of this now is the levels of automation, bulk loading thousands of applications, reporting on those for a variety of different technology platforms, Windows 7 64-bit, Office IE or Office 2010, and being able to resolve 95%, in some cases more than 95% of those Windows 7 compatibility issues in a consistently high quality outcome. And as the screen refreshes here, I'd like to give some real examples. Sure, we can say we can do a great job, but here are some clients who've actually experienced on a very large scale some of the challenges in migrating from XP environment to a Windows 7 environment. They've had issues with Office migrations, with Internet Explorer migrations. And here's a good example. With JP Morgan, we had 16,000 applications in a single week. So that's tremendous, just over 16,000, in fact, 16,384. And just the time we did that in, it wasn't just reports on Windows 7 and 64-bit, but also included AppV compatibility and then the VMware Thin App compatibility the following week. So one of the true benefits of the AOK solution is we're able to load in all those applications into the AOK database, run reports, and then very quickly update AOK to run additional or enhanced reports. Some other great examples, BP is a large engineering example, very complex applications, large application portfolio. And what we did was able to bring the whole migration forward, the comprehensive assessment that allowed that organization to make a great decision to move from Windows XP to Windows 7 64-bit, one of the early adopters of the 64-bit platform. So some great news there. I can give a bit more detail, but you can see from the slides some of the other great client examples we have here today. I just talking about some of those benefits as this slide refreshes. Hopefully we're getting a good refresh rate for this. Is the most important thing about AOK, it's easy to use. I can hand you a memory stick, and in 15 minutes, and this is a real challenge, 15 minutes you can be installing your apps, configuring AOK, loading applications in, running reports, and doing fixing. So 15 minutes, you should be able to load, analyze, and fix your application. That sets the scene, the scale of how easy it is to install and configure AOK, but also how to complete the complete life cycle of an application. In fact, we'll show that at the end of the session today. And as I follow through these other key points here, being able to analyze 16,000 applications for JP Morgan in a few hours is a tremendous ability of that organization. Of course, first asking about AppV, and then 1 or 2 days later having to decide to ask about Thin App. It's a tremendous challenge for organization, but we're able to resolve that in a few hours. I think something we also need to is really comment on is how extensible the solution is. You can create your own rules, you can create, edit, or add your own questions and solutions to AOK. One of the things we've talked about before is this migration process, and we're seeing this over and over with our clients. And we're seeing this first idea of finding out what apps you have, and this big challenge about assessing the compatibility. You need to fix or update the package, and then they go into UAT. And we're actually finding now that we've got some products to help you with that migration process. And just walking through the ChangeBASE product suite, we go from left to right with Convert It, which is a utility and tool set that allows you to take legacy installations, non-MSI packages, and automatically and in bulk load them into AOK for later analysis. Tested is a subset of the AOK functionality, and it just provides reports. So if you're just looking for reports or just some detailed answers today without automated remediation, you can buy exactly what you need. But as you move left to right in this diagram, we've actually got some modules that you can add on to those question asking processes, such as virtualize it, which asks questions with compatibility, suitability, and quality for all the virtualization platforms out there, such as AppV, VMware ThinApp, the Citrix XenApp platforms, and the RDS or Microsoft Remote Data Services server-based platform as well. Following down from that, we've got Office. We see a lot of clients with migration issues, not so much migration issues for Windows 7 desktops, but actually with the Office integration and interoperability issues. Now, this Office plugin doesn't look at document formats, it looks at application integration issues. Browse It, which actually takes a look at the IE6 to latter versions of browsers, so IE6 to IE7 or IE6 to all the way to IE9. And it really looks at the document level, both presentation security level issues about migrating off of IE6. In QA, it is the module that allows you to be able to create, update, and edit your existing questions and answers for OK. Fix It is the function or the part of AOK that allows you to automatically resolve the raised compatibility issues. Or Manage It allows you to, on an ongoing basis, look at updates, changes, and patches in the environment. And probably the most exciting piece of the puzzle right now as we finish up is a V-Ready component, which allows you to automatically take those packages that have been reported upon, fixed, ready for deployment, but not in the right package format for the target virtualization environment, such as AppV or ThinApp. And V-Ready allows you to, in bulk, convert those applications to the target formats such as AppV, ThinApp, or XenApp. Just a quick note here, one of the things we'd like to see is just a simple way of being able to express and distill the results. And the AOK product suite does that, and allows you to compress the assessment time down from months to weeks, in some cases to a few days. And again, we really should be setting the expectation that we're going to be assessing applications, roughly 1,000 applications per day. And we do that in a very simple way. That's through a red, amber, green approach. We say we take the issues raised, we group them into red, which is developer issues, such as an API or driver, which then may cause that application to fail in some way. Amber means somebody like you and I can fix it. It means there's a small change to the package or update, which will allow that application to successfully install, run correctly, update, or uninstall. An Amber package is really, with a few minor tweaks, can be made to work on that target platform. Where green means for the selected reports, no issues have been raised. And one of the things about AOK is you can choose to run all the reports or some of the reports. So green really means for what you selected, no issues raised. Amber means for the issues raised so far were probably fixable, require a few tweaks and updates, but are ready for deployment. And red means it's a critical piece of functionality, which may not be suitable for that target platform, be it Windows 7, 64-bit, or AppV. Now, as part of all this process, I think we really have to talk about the conversion process now, because that is so key. And what we're talking now is that there's actually 4 stages to your migration: the loading, getting all your application estate together, putting it into a database ready for analysis. The analysis stage, we're asking all the great questions about, is this app suitable for this target environment? Is it the right quality for the target environment? And is it compatible with that target environment? And once you've done all the necessary questions and updated the package, you then have to use the 4th stage, and that is converting that app. And that's where the V-Ready, one of our new products, really comes into play and automates the process to provide great or high-quality AppV, ThinApp, or XenApp packages for your target environment, based on an MSI package that's been loaded into AOK, analyzed, remediated, and then convert. And I'm just watching a little bit of a refresh. This was refresh here. What we've just done, we've just briefly introduced the company ChangeBASE, talked a little bit about our methodology of the red, amber, green, talked a little bit about some of the things we've seen so far. But what I want to talk about in more detail is the migration challenges you're going to experience moving to Windows 7, Server 2008, 64-bit platform, Office, or off of IE6. So that's it. Migrations to IE8 or IE9. So we can dive into a little bit of detail here. So as I mentioned before, we group all the results into three basic categories, red, amber, green. And you can see here in the center table, quite a few applications actually raise issues. In this case, 61% or almost 2/3. But one of the things we're finding is that most of these issues, in fact, almost 95% of these issues, can be automatically resolved. And we work with the second table here. You can see help files, USD runtime issues, custom action installation issues, and control panel security configuration issues. We're all raised across all of our portfolios. Everybody's seen these issues. And they're quite significant. You can see that some are a third, or some are a quarter or a fifth of the portfolio. But the good news here is that all of these are 100% fixable and automatically fixable through AOK. And that allows us to go into an environment with Windows 7 assessment, quickly analyze applications, and then automatically fix them. And here's an example of that. We took a global financial institution. They had almost 5,000 applications. And as we analyzed their application portfolio MSI format to compare against Windows 7 compatibility, we found that a significant chunk of the portfolio would run better, install better, and last longer than their estate, fewer support costs if they were updated. Almost 2/3 would benefit from an update. And so we looked at all that, and we found that all this could be automatically fixed in a single business week. And as a result was we fixed 94% of their entire portfolio automatically in just under a week. Now I've got another example here, which I don't show very often, but one particular client was able to resolve all of their issues, but we've got a good example here. I wanted to talk briefly about some of our experience with AppV. It's effectively as you move up the stack from Windows 7, you need to talk about virtualization technologies, and here's a good example. We've seen that a lot of our clients are moving from Windows XP to Windows 7 AppV environments. We've also seen there's a number of compatibility challenges which may prevent an application from installing, running, updating, or uninstalling correctly in a virtual environment. And we're seeing simple things like lack of shortcuts prevent an AppV package from running correctly. Or more seriously, as a non-supported driver may prevent an application from starting correctly. But as part of the loading, analysis, and remediation process, we look at all the details of the application, the configuration information, the registry, the shortcut, the directories, but also the binary information, all the APIs, the import and export, resources, DLL header information, dependencies down to non-levels. All that's captured in the database and interrogated by our AppV and other virtualization reports, generate results just like you see here on the screen. And also, as we talk about Windows 7, we also should talk about Windows 7 compatibility. In fact, this is an interesting one because a number of our clients were asking us earlier on last year whether we should go to Windows 7 64-bit or not. And they were quite concerned. The thinking was that most of their application portfolio wouldn't work on Windows 7 64-bit. But we found with a lot of our clients that once you ask the questions in the right way, most applications did go forward, and we've got very good results. Some of our engineering, more conservative organizations, that they thought their Windows 7 migration was going to be relegated to a simple 32-bit migration, when in fact they were able to get tremendous benefits from their 64-bit migration. The ecosystem is ready, the hardware is there, Now with the right questions, the right answers from AOK, they're able to migrate successfully to a Windows 7 64-bit platform. Okay, we've just got the next slide here, and that just really moves us on from the Windows 7 app being 64-bit, moving up the stack a little bit to Office 2010, some of the challenges there. I was a little bit surprised about Office being a bit of an issue, but then I realized that there's large numbers of applications that have assumed Office on the build for the last 5, possibly even 10 years. And the authors of different softwares and application have been depending upon, I think probably rightly so, that there would be a version of Office on a particular machine. And what we're finding is that applications are assuming there's a particular version of Office or particular components of a version of Office on a machine. And if that component or that version is not there, the application is not behaving as expected, starting, not running, not looking correct. And so we were able to great questions about what potential application level interoperability or dependency issues might arise in the migration from the last version of Office, just Office 2010. As you can see here, we've got a number of questions relating to Office, such as deprecated APIs, drivers, or registry settings, which may cause an application to fail on install, startup, or runtime. Okay. So we just move on up the stack again, really working our way up from Windows 7 64-bit at the Office and now IE8. We can talk about IE. And IE compatibility was a bit of a challenge for a large number of organizations because we really haven't had to deal with this before. We're all very good at migrating applications, migrating servers, but web applications is relatively new this time around in the migration process. And so we've actually had to break the IE compatibility problem into 3 pieces. That's the server compatibility, getting the server components installed correctly and running correctly. That's sort of our bread and butter. It wasn't too big a challenge, but still interesting. The client browser compatibility issues. We had to look at the security and presentation level of issues for an application for the first time, how applications look. And of course, we were also surprised to discover how many desktop applications included web-based components, which would also have dependencies in IE6. When you migrate to IE8 or to more recently IE9, desktop applications were having browser level issues as well. So to resolve those issues, we actually tried to create 3 solutions. And the first one was a crawler that goes out and grabs all the web data. It's all the JavaScript, the CSS, XML, XSL. It's all that information. Puts it into AOK for later reporting. There's another piece to the puzzle. We can actually get the source code and automatically load that into AOK as well. And that's a great way of getting the information. But if those 2 methods are not available, we can actually get the data from what I call a cleanse and capture, where it actually grabs the user experience and puts it into a file for importing into AOK, just like an application package. And that allows you to get the entire web-based experience, your entire application stage, your desktop, your server, your virtual, and your web applications all locked into an AOK database. What I want to do, because this is a new technology here, is actually talk a few moments about the client-side capture. And some of the things we've seen in the past were like, okay, now a complex application that requires a login, authentication, how are you going to get that data? So we've got some tools now that you can deploy to any desktop without an install, remotely from a central location, that only captures the tags in the script. No images, no documents, no content, no cookies, no authentication. And so what that means is you can go into an environment, grab the compatibility challenging data, but not the private or personal data. No privacy concerns, no confidentiality concerns. What about your Gmail, your bank, or your HR site? No information to show, just the potential compatibility issues with the HTML or JavaScript tags. And that allows us to very confidently go and get information or collect information from our environment, from our client's environment. And I think one of the things we're quite familiar with some of the Windows 7 compatibility issues, but maybe not everyone's clear on the IE8 compatibility issues. So I've got a little example here. And here's a good example. It's I'll tell the story about this website a little bit. But it's my local parking site. I use this site to book parking at my local train station. And one of the things we found is that as I try to put my postal code in, the site actually gives me generated an error. As you see at the top right here. And so we put the website through AOK, and we analyzed all the web pages we scanned for a number of compatibility challenges. And as you see, we've actually raised a number of issues, which I thought was really interesting because through my use of the software, the use of that website, I just experienced one problem. But our software actually picked up all these other pages that would have that same issue. So in this case, manual testing picked up one issue, automated testing picked up all the issues on that particular site. And so for this particular site, it was as simple as we couldn't see a particular image from the original web page because it wasn't in a secure location. Okay, just to roll up some of the reporting aspects of this, as I mentioned before, we can grab all your application estates now. So we can take the whole desktop, server, virtual, and web applications and put it into a single set of reports that will really give you a great view on some of the compatibility issues or suitability and quality issues you might have in your migration. And this allows you to get a high-level overview, some detailed reports on some profile issues you might have, the impact of each technology, but also some of the detailed analysis of results. Okay, and I think one of the things we can do here is really in wrapping up some of the about us, how we work, and what we do aspects of this presentation. Just a quick summary. And again, it's that focus on we're going to massively reduce the costs. We're going to simplify the assessment, remediation, conversion elements of your migration process, resulting in a massively sped up deployment. The comprehensive nature of the Windows 7 64-bit, all the virtualization technologies and the browser checks provide very comprehensive cover, breadth and depth of your compatibility challenges. And rounding that up, automated remediation allows you to take those issues in bulk and automatically fix them in a consistent manner. So no opinions, no different levels of skill, everything done the same way. Get it right once, get it right each time. Okay, so there's just going to be a few moments. We're going to set up the ChangeBASE AOK demo. And I'll just freeze the screen for a second as we switch machines. Okay, so what I've got here is the AOK software. And what I'd like to do at this point is just spend a few moments walking through some of the UI, some of the aspects, the simple aspects of installing and configuring AOK. Look at some of the how we use the software and how we actually load an application in and how we report on things and fix it. So one of the things I'm just noticing, I'm just going to a few comments about the network performance, and I'm just going to pause briefly and see if I can improve that for you. So one moment. Hopefully that's increased the bandwidth a little bit, and we've got some better performance here. And let's see see how things go. If there's any problems with the refresh rate, please let me know and on the chat box, and I'll see what I can do with that as well. Okay, so let's continue on with the demo. What I'd like to do is just start with a little bit about the UI of AOK. Very simple to install, very simple icon on the desktop here, one icon. Workbench, all the products are included within this simple view of the world, this AOK Workbench view. We've only got 3 buttons on our software effectively: load it, run it, fix it. Each one becomes enabled when you can actually do something here. So if I drag something on, ready for loading, the loaded button becomes enabled. Walking through the UI here, we've got a number of applications that was already loaded, and we ran some reports, and we've got some red, amber, green results. And as you can see here, we had some app V issues. got some virtualization amber and red issues with the Windows 7 issues. And as you can see in this particular view, this app has already been loaded, already ran some reports. And you can see that we've actually got some configuration level issues, some runtime, and some security configuration issues. We can choose to run whichever reports you want. In this particular case, we can choose the Windows 7 selection. It's a very comprehensive selection of checks. We have help files, configuration files, Active Directory settings, IP, all these types of checks which might cause a compatibility issue for a particular application. You can ask AppV questions or Citrix questions. The fact I've just ran 3 here. And then what you can also do is say, okay, I want to take this simple view of the world and actually export them to HTML or export results, or for a summary view, profile view, or more detailed view, which I've already around here, but you can have a quick look here. A great summary, very, very good overview of reports run, the impact of each of the different reports run in this particular case, as we scroll through and downwards into the Windows 7 results. Let's wait till everybody catches up here. We can actually see here's all the potential issues for Windows 7, and the good news is that you can see that each and every one of those issues is fixable, which is just great news here. So we can see that. If we're interested in a more high-level view, we can actually see the profile view of these particular applications. Hey, this is the apps over here, and here's the impact of each technology. It's a nice roll-up view of the world. If you'd like to see a bit more detail, you can actually say, here's the application, and here's the exact reason why this application might have compatibility issues. Drilling down right into the package, right into the binaries, right into the heart of the issue, whether it's an API, a COM setting, a registry setting, something that may cause that application to fail to install, run, update, or uninstall correctly. So that's just the three high-level reports we've got with AOK here. So what you can do now is choose to load an application, do some reporting, and then automatic fixing as well. So let's walk through that process. So first, I'm going to clear the results. I select my report to run Windows 7 report here. And what I'm going to do is take an application from my desktop, and you can literally just drag that application onto AOK. And here's my application. And as I mentioned before, here's a little folder. Yep, it's ready to load. Notice the load button is now enabled. I'm going to check our options here. And include dependency analysis. We're going to do a really quick load here. What's great about this is we're going to load this application into AOK just by a simple drag and drop and pressing the loaded button. Now, in a few seconds, we've actually taken that application, all the configuration information, all the binary, the API, the DLL, the resources, all the common information from that package put into AOK. As you can see, that can be a speedy process. For some larger applications, it might take up to a minute. But generally, for a reasonable specification of a workstation, we can do 1,000 applications per day. And what we can do now, we can now choose our Windows 7 reports. As I mentioned, all those configuration settings, binary checks, all those application level and binary level issues that may cause an application to fail in Windows 7. We can just merely press select our application here, press the run it button. Load it first, and then run it. And now we're seeing we're analyzing all those elements that have been loaded into the AOK database. And we're going to have a very quick look at the red, amber, green results. And what we've done, we've analyzed those issues for this particular application. We've come up with a number of Windows 7 issues. We have custom action installation issues, control panel configuration issues, help file runtime issues, and nested installation issues. And what's interesting about this is they're all amber. So with a few checks, a few updates, this application can go forward to the target platform for Windows 7. We need to fix these issues first. And you can do this individually. Say I can choose to fix this one issue, and notice the fix it button's enabled. But in this case, what we're going to do is say, hey, let's just fix this app. Let's just fix this app. We can then say we're going to press the fix it button. So what is happening here now, we first make a backup of that file. Make sure we have a log file that in a multi-user environment, you can see that application, and nobody else will touch it. We fix that application with external CAD files and transforms. We reloaded that application, reran the reports. Now this is the best bit here. You now see that this is loaded in with a transform. This application has been reanalyzed, and we can see that all the issues have been resolved with this application. As you can see here, we've got 2 external CAD files containing all the updated fixes and challenges, and a transform file. So this automatically updated the application, reloaded it, reanalyzed it in preparation for deployment to Windows 7. That entire process can be done in bulk, 1,000 apps in a day, analyzing thousands of apps per day, and then automatically fixing them as well. What's interesting about this is you've now got a very detailed record, remember our view here, of all the potential application compatibility challenges for applications. Let's let this refresh a little bit. Okay, so here's a detailed record. And here, and this is great, you can actually now see all the history of that application. When it was loaded, and also all the fixes to that application. So what we're seeing here is the complete audit trail of all the issues and all the fixes to this application as part of your migration. All these changes are stored in the database. You can query them, grab them, report them, export them, all the things you need to do them as part of your migration process. So I guess the challenge is, when's the last time you had a complete documentation of all your issues and a complete audit trail and history of every change made to your packages? And we're finding lots of organizations now saying that's a tremendous idea. In fact, probably essential now for the migration. Really upping the whole quality bar, the compatibility, quality, and suitability migration and efforts in migration. So just a little roundup there. We've loaded some applications into AOK previously. We ran some reports on them. We generated some red, amber, green results. We had a Windows 7 report. We had an AppV report around the virtualization report. We just the load button by dragging an application in, loading that in for a few seconds into AOK. We use the run it button to automatically analyze that application for Windows 7 compatibility issues. We then press the fix it button to automatically update the application, generating external CAD files and a transform that was automatically reloaded back into AOK, reanalyzed, and found to have all the issues automatically resolved with a full audit trail. Okay, so what we've just done, we've just done a brief presentation on about ChangeBASE, what we do, how we work, some detailed results of the migration efforts for Windows 7, 64-bit, AppV, and Office, and of course, now including the challenges of migrating from IE6 to IE8 and IE9. We ran a quick demo showing the UI, the loading, reporting, and fixing process. But I guess one of the things we can do now is we just quickly wrap up and have some questions, is actually talk about some of the conversion process. We can take a very simple application. I can go to a directory and say, okay, there's nothing in here in our export AppV package directory. We can actually say, we're going to right-click and convert this application to an AppV format. And this by simply pressing the vReady button. What we're going to do in the background as we go through some questions, and this takes 3 to 4 minutes for an application, we're automatically going to kick off the workstation VM in the background, install that application, grab all the information, sequence it, and then automatically generate an AppV package. And that package will be ready to deploy with OSD files and relevant XML settings as well. And that can be done in bulk as well. So what you're really doing is covering the entire process now, loading applications for initial assessment, running that assessment, automatically fixing those applications, and then converting them to a target format such as AppV, ThinApp, or ZenApp. Let's see how my VM session is doing here. And this is starting up. Let's take 2 or 3 minutes. So what I'd like to do now is actually just answer some of the questions that have been raised throughout the session in the last few months of this webinar. And I guess just going through the first question which has been raised is, how are we fixing things? And so, as I mentioned, I think that question hopefully has been answered as part of the demo, but the reason we're using transforms and the changes right now is through, one, we can audit and check the changes, but most of our clients, in fact, all of our clients have requested that we fix things using manifest, transforms, and external CAD files. So it's really the industry dictating how we go about updating our applications. We can use a variety of different platforms and methods for fixing, but for most of our organizations that we work with, using the transform mode is probably the most common. And hopefully that answers that question. We've got another question here, which we're just reading here. It's a great question. It's all about, and I think just paraphrasing slightly, how will you identify the first bits to enable launch streaming? And effectively what we do as part of the background process here, and hopefully I can capture some of this, is we actually analyze the application, run it up, and then run some of the shortcuts. So we identify all the shortcuts of that application. You can see that happening here in the background as it captures the sequence. We'll actually optimize this for streaming. So all your shortcuts for this very simple application are captured. And as you can see that here in my export directory, here's my workout of the simple package. And here's all the icons for the shortcuts. And here's my manifest, an SFTD file, an OSD file, all there for analysis. So hopefully that answers that question. It is a complex process. It did take some effort. Our clients were very quick to say, you need to exercise or run the entire application as part of the capture and conversion process. And we reflected that in our later versions of Be Ready to our clients now, saying, what you could do is take those installs from AOK, right-click them in bulk, convert them to AppV, and be assured that they're ready for streaming, that all the icons have been run. That application has been properly captured and put into a full proper AppV package. Okay, looks like we've answered some of the questions here. Okay, we've got another question here as well. And this looks like this is the last question. We've got a few more which we'll probably try to answer via email, but it's just as we're rounding up today. The third question here is about executables loaded into AOK. And we've got a tool set called Converted that runs very similar to the Be Ready process. It allows you to convert legacy installs, i.e. setup.exes, and convert them into a format that's loadable by AOK. That can be done in bulk. It uses a virtual machine, but actually grabs the installation, converts all that to a package, and then loads that into AOK automatically. And that's a bulk process too. So regardless of your current application portfolio, you can automatically and in bulk load all your applications into AOK for reporting, analysis, remediation, and conversion. And that tool set is called Converted. Okay, just a little bit on the licensing issues or any questions on that. If you, I'll post some contact details at the end of this demonstration, but if there's any further questions or things you'd like to see as part of AOK or the ChangeBASE products, I'll just put my details up here and what things we can do. Please feel free to email me or contact me or contact sales@changebase.com. And we'll try to get back to you right away and answer any questions or go through any concerns you have about your existing migrations, see how we can help with your compatibility, suitability, and quality issues. That's my screen up here. So definitely, please feel free to email me at greg.lambert@changebase.com. have a look at our website, changebase.com, for any more information there, or for sales inquiries, sales@changebase.com. Hopefully everyone found that interesting today. If there's any further questions, definitely feel free to email me. This is Greg Lambert, and I want to thank you all for your time today. Thanks and goodbye.